Okay. Welcome to the Eagle Eye Podcast. I'm Rylan Kroll, and I'm joined with Carter Gwynn. Today we're joined by the new head coach of Tyrone Lady Eagles basketball, Larry Starr. Coach Starr brings a long and successful girls basketball coaching career to Tyrone, including more than 400 career wins and 4 Virginia State championships. In his career, he's coached several of players who went to the Division I college careers, and one of his players even went in the WNBA. Today we'll talk with him about his background, what brought him to Tyrone, and his vision for the future of Lady Eagles basketball. Coach Starr, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Just to start, can you tell us a little bit about yourself for the players and the people in the community who haven't had a chance to meet you?
Yeah, so I grew up in Ohio. Actually, Tyrone reminds me of the town I grew up in. It was a sports town, smaller school, right? And my daughter told me that, when I came here, she said, you're going to think you're in Toronto, Ohio. But anyway, I grew up in Ohio. I was in the Army for many years and got out of the Army down at Fort Lee, Virginia. And then after 10 years working in the insurance field, I was running an AAU basketball program. I decided I wanted to make a career change and started to teach and coach down in Virginia. So I coached at Monacan as head coach for 17 years. And then partly because of my pension, I wasn't allowed to do an extracurricular activity, but I stepped out a year early so my assistant coach, who played for me and played at Franklin and Marshall in Pennsylvania, could get the job. And then I sat out a year and went to everybody's games, and I missed it. And so I thought, man, I stepped out too early. So I took a small private school because I didn't want to compete with Monacan. And I've been there the last 3 years, and those girls, it's a small school, they only had 50 girls, 9 through 12, grades 9 through 12. But the girls did a great job. And I've been working on my wife to move up here for 2 years. My only grandson, I have 3 daughters, and they're spread out. One's in Virginia Beach, one's State College, and one's in Finland. But my only grandchild is in State College. So my wife didn't want to go north because of the snow, but I finally convinced her to do that. And so at the beginning of the year, I told the Blessed Sacrament AD I was going to resign and come up, and then we didn't tell the girls till the very end. And then I immediately started searching 7 high schools in the State College area to see if they had an opening.
How would you describe your coaching style to players and parents who have never seen your teams play?
I'm intense, okay? And although over the years, my players who have become coaches and my players that have graduated say I'm not nearly as intense with the next group, and I just said, so I'm pretty intense. But the girls that play for me usually love playing for me, right? We're going to be in shape. We're going to play a very tight defense. We're going to run. A lot of stuff that, as a player, I thought was great and fun, and I do that as a coach. And I think, the old adage is that a team takes on the coach's personality. And what I saw of you guys on film, you're the perfect team for me to coach because I saw hustle, I saw people being physical, I saw some skill, and so that's what I'm going to bring to the table. And I think once the girls get over the initial shock of the change and everything, I think everybody's going to be excited to play.
You mentioned watching the team on film before taking the job. What stood out to you about this group of players the most?
Well, first off, I saw 3 seniors playing, and you were one, and number 22 was one.
Yeah, Claire.
And I can't, was your number 13?
Yeah.
And then there was another 30.
Elise,
right?
yeah.
So I saw 3, and I know you had lost Elena Woomer, right?
Yeah.
I read that in your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so the 3 seniors were the leaders of the team. But I saw some underclassmen that had skill. I saw some underclassmen that were hustling, and I was looking. So I saw a freshman, sophomore, and junior who played a lot. But then I saw the other 3 girls who didn't play as much, and I watched in some other games so I could see them play, and they have skill also. Mm-hmm. And so there's a core group of 6. I can't even tell you how excited I am. with this core group of 6. And I just hope they buy into me, because if they do that, I think we're going to be very, very successful, especially if we can get some new players to come. But that core group of 6 is very, very good. And it looks like there's only one senior next year in that group, Bree, right?
Yeah, Olivia Newland, she didn't play last year, but she's kind of played like
Is she
throughout.
coming?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's coming back out like this year for her senior year.
Oh,
so
great.
you'll have another
Okay,
one.
good. So I'm excited. And I even watched some middle school games. And I know they had very few people, but I saw an 8th grade. I said, wow, she looks pretty good.
Yeah.
And so I'm watching her. So she's coming up. And then I saw a point guard, but I found out she was in 7th grade. And so I think everything looks pretty good. It looks like your coach from last year, I thought he did a good job. I was watching what he was doing in film. I thought you guys were disciplined. I tell you, one time you shocked me. I was watching you guys run an offense, and you must have passed the ball 7 times. And I'm saying, shoot the ball. Somebody shoot the ball. Somebody shoot the ball. But it was great unselfishness. And so seeing that unselfishness is another key, because when I've taken new programs over in the past, I've had to teach people to be selfish, right? And or I've had to teach some. Let me back up. I've had to teach some to be unselfish, which is a harder thing than teaching them to be selfish. And so I saw a lot of good stuff. The passing, I thought the defense, the hustle. You guys hustled the whole time, and I thought you were very physical. All the stuff that I want in my team, I saw on film.
So touching base on like numbers for the program, how do you think that you can like impact younger girls to just step into the program?
Well, I'm hoping. I have some ideas. You know, the school that I was at, Monacan, where we had a lot of success, right? I didn't have to really worry about it there. But Blessed Sacrament, I had to worry about it a little bit more. But I have some ideas. I told the AD, and I don't know what I'm allowed to do yet and what I'm not. But I told the AD that when I talk to the girls, I want to get some names of some girls, and I need you to go convince them to come out, right? But I'm traveling up here for the next couple months every week, right? My house goes for sale in May, and depending on how fast we sell that, I'll get up here. But my plan is when I come up, and I asked Luke today, or I should say Coach Rhodes, sorry about that. I asked Coach Rhodes today if it'd be possible that we could pull some of these girls that are on the fence in with him and I, where I could just talk to them. Because I think once the girls get involved, and they're going to have to work hard, right?
Yeah.
So when they get past that, I think they're going to enjoy it. And I think that we're going to be very good, very fast. But we've got to get some people in here. We've got to get a JV team.
Yeah.
We've got to get more middle school. Now, I've just talked to the middle school coach, and she said 9 6th graders are coming today.
Great.
Well, that's a great start,
Yeah.
right? And then the other thing that I'm hoping to do, and again, I haven't talked to Coach Rhodes about this yet, is I'm thinking about once a month bringing in 1st through 3rd grade girls just to watch the first hour and work with us, and we'll work with them the second hour. And then another day bring in the 4th, 5th, and 6th to do the same thing and try to get them to the games, but try to get them in there to see the girls working hard and for the other girls to be role models for them. And I think we can build that through that program. Again, I don't know what I'm allowed to do yet and what I'm not. I'm still feeling that out.
You said to the mirror that the competition level is a step up from here at Blessed Sacrament. Like, how much difference the girls basketball from here as it is in Virginia?
Well, I don't think there's a lot of difference. In fact, a guy I coached against is coaching Oakland Catholic in Pittsburgh, and after I got the position, I called him, and they got to the state championship game, I think, in 3A. So we talked, but he thinks it's not as good. But what I saw, number one is the teams that I had at Monacan. I had one team that was 2nd in the nation most of the year, and then they ended up 7th in the nation. We went undefeated, and that team, it was just all the talent just converged together, and they all bought into the system, right? But then I had teams that weren't that good that did just as well. What I saw on film, and Blessed Sacrament, the the skill level wasn't there as much. And I couldn't do much in preseason, postseason, because they had so few girls and they were playing all these sports, right? But they were at a very low level, okay? So, for example, I tried to put in man, and I love the girls, so don't get me wrong. I tried to put in man defense for a couple years, and we just struggled with it. Because they didn't understand the concepts, right? They weren't playing, outside of school at all. So this is, I think, closer to the Monacan level than it is closer to Blessed Sacrament. The girls that I saw, okay, including you, okay, a couple seniors, those 3 underclassmen we talked about,
Yeah.
all would be playing on my Monacan team, getting playing time. And they might not start, but they would be getting playing time with the type of defense and offense that we ran. So the talent level is there. And now, I did talk to Coach Rhodes today, and he said we're dropping to 3A.
Yeah.
And he said that's tougher than 4A.
Yeah.
So, maybe we can recruit a couple girls and go back up to 4A.
Yeah, I
don't know.
definitely think 3A is a little bit more challenging than 4A.
But we'll be fine.
Yeah.
I think, and again, a lot of it depends on preseason, right? But I think that we're going to be pretty good.
Yeah. I talked to some of the girls, and they're super excited for just like the new change and everything.
Listen, that means a lot to me because I have wondered that. Right?
Yeah.
And, I know the kids I know in Virginia, they're excited for me with this new start coming up here. But I was wondering, how are they going to handle that up there? So that worried me a little bit, especially when our numbers were so low.
Yeah.
So,
What do you hope your players will say about you after they've played for you?
the same thing that other players have said, I stay in contact with a lot of, and there's always players that didn't like you, right? But I stay in contact with a lot of my former players. 3 of my former players are successful head coaches in Virginia now. And, but they stay in touch with me on Facebook. They come and see me. When I announced that I got this job, I got a bunch of comments from all these former players. So when it's all said and done, and this is my final stop, right? I'm eventually going to die up here, right? So, but I want the girls to be glad they played. Some of the comments I get from some of my players from 12, 13 years ago are the best coach I've ever had. And that means a lot to me when I hear stuff like that. All the kids, I probably had 30 to 40 kids go D1. I've had a bunch go D3 and a couple go D2, including my daughter, played at Kutztown. And but the best compliment that they've all come back and said is our practices were harder at Monacan than they were in college, except one. And Megan Walker, the one that played in WNBA, went to Connecticut, and her whole class quit. The year she was recruited, nobody was left at the end, right? And she came back and she said, Gino's practices are harder.
Yeah.
But she also said that I was by far the most prepared of the freshmen coming in. So that was a big compliment too. So that's what I want them. I want them to remember fondly what they've accomplished. And let me tell you, and you know this because your last 3 years, winning is so much more fun than losing, right? And you guys did a great job this year. And so I want people to remember that time fondly. I do a lot of we try to do team building stuff. And again, I'm new here, so I'm not going to be able to do some of that this year. But next year, I'm hoping to be able to do that where everybody gets fairly close,
What would you say to Tyrone fans and family as you begin this new chapter?
Well, I will tell you this. Tyrone, from what I've done through research, has had a lot of success in girls basketball over the years. A lot of it had to do with Coach Rhodes when he was there. And then I saw Mr. Whitling came in, and I thought he did a good job. I only watched film from this year when you guys went 16-7. But one thing I was disappointed in, I just got the huddle. I just got on the huddle, so everything I was watching was on NFHS.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But looking at the number of fans in the stands, again, not when I started at Monacan, but by my third year at Monacan, we were putting 1,000 people in the stands. Now, it's a lot bigger school, right?
Yeah.
And it's great for the girls. And that's part of my building thing with bringing the younger kids in. If I can get them to come with their parents in the game and get them yelling and screaming and make that gym loud, it brings excitement. And so I want to see that excitement on the girls' side. And I don't know that you haven't had that in the past. I just know some of the games I've watched. And again, the way the camera is, I'm looking at
you
the
only
other
see
side.
one side, yeah.
So I don't know what's there and what's not. But I just want to see excitement about the program. I want people to talk about the program.
Yeah.
I grew up in a town like Tyrone where sports was very big and people talk about the program. You know, I want an athlete like you to be able to go, and you probably get this already, right? But go into a local store and they recognize you from being a women's basketball player. You know, I think that's all big, and that all builds excitement, and that all brings new people to basketball.
Like a year from now, like in your first season here, like what would be a couple of your big goals you'd like to
I always
accomplish?
believe, and I do set goals, right? And I always believe in setting them, even if they seem unrealistic. If you don't reach for it, you're not going to get it. And at Monacan for 10 years, we got to the States. And then in Virginia, states only consist of 8 teams. So you got to work hard to get into the States, right? And so we got to the States 10 years, and we lost, before we won the first state, we lost 9 quarterfinal games. But our goal was always a state championship. So here, I guess, number one is to build the program. I want to see some excitement in the program. And again, I don't know what excitement you had in the past. I know there's a rich history here. I want to see young girls excited about coming to watch you guys play, right? I want to see that because that'll build the program for the future. I want to beat Bellwood Antis.
Yes.
Okay.
Heck yeah.
I've learned a lot since I've been following this about Bellwood Antis, right? So, and they just got a new coach.
Yeah, they did.
And so my goal is to take care of them a couple times this year. And then lastly is to qualify for states, but actually win states. And I feel like, is it realistic or not? I don't know. Talking to my friend that coached against me in Virginia, who's at Oakland Catholic, he said he has 4 freshmen that were incredible in all-girls school. And he got the state championship game and lost. But if you do not have that goal, if you do not work toward that goal, you're never going to achieve it. So I'm a big believer in setting the bar high. If we don't reach it, so what? We tried. And then next year maybe we can reach it. And then next year maybe we can reach it. So that's where I'm at.
Thank you for watching this episode. I'm Rylan Kroll, Carter Gwynn, and new head coach Larry Starr.
And I really appreciate you guys having me. I'm excited to be here. I hope the girls are excited. I hope the community gets excited. And I think we can do some great things here. Good?